afternoon, guys. This is Type Tech. So today we are going to do something different because I just got my Poco F3. Yeah, so I just got this. This is the 256GB model. It comes with also 128GB model, and the colors available are, the one that I have is the night black. It also has, over there you can see, the deep ocean blue and the Arctic white. So I'm excited to open this. And what are the key highlights of the specs? The highlights are, it uses a Snapdragon 870. It has a 6.67 inch 120 Hz refresh rate, and it also has a 360 Hz touch sampling rate. And other than that, it is, and you can see the specs right here. Alright, that's it. So I'm excited to open this, so let's go move on to the table. Alright, so it's time for the unboxing. Okay, so the first thing you will receive is this card. Welcome to the Poco family. And the first thing you receive is this box. And inside this, you have the Poco stickers. You can see Poco stickers, instruction booklets, and a warranty card. And inside here, it has USB-C to the headphone jack dongle, and unfortunately for this F3 it does not have a headphone jack. Next, it has a clear casing. As you can see, clear casing here. It's almost the same feeling as the Poco X3 that I have unboxed recently. And also lastly, the SYNC and injector tool. Alright, so next you have the Poco F3. Ooh, the camera is quite big. And it says here, Qualcomm Snapdragon 870 5G using the 7nm advanced processor, can go up to 3.2 GHz. Basically, 870 is the overclock version of 865 plus, or we can call it the 865 plus plus. And it says here as well, 120 Hz, 6.67 inch AMOLED display, Dolby Atmos dual speakers, and lastly the 48 megapixel rear camera. Alright, so okay, that's it for the phone. It is super glossy, as you can see. You can see my face as well. Hey. And yeah, it's like a fingerprint magnet, and it's relatively thin. And we will get back to this later. So other than that, behind this, it has the 33-watt travel adapter, and it has the red accent on the head here, and also the cable also is type C, it is white with also some orange to red lining right here. Quite interesting. So that's all for the box. Alright, so the unboxing is done, and here we have the Poco F3. So I have been using this for a while, and I must say the casing here is very flimsy. I suggest you can get a better one, but I've been just rolling with it. And on the top here, you can see this is the speaker grill, and one of the hole here, it is the IR blaster that you can use for remote controls. And there is a small tiny grill. You might not able to see. There's a small grill here that can use for phone call, and as well it will act like as the echo chamber for your speaker because it's a dual speaker unit. And on the left side, it is just nothing but just the plastic frame. And at the back here you can see there is the other speaker grill, the mic, the type C port, and over here you can see this is the dual SIM tray that doesn't support the SD expansion. And over here you can see there is the volume rocker and also the power button. And at the back it is the 48 megapixel main sensor with the telephoto 8 megapixel and the 5 telemacro sensor with the secondary noise cancelling mic. Alright, as you can see at the front here, there is the small pinhole camera, there is the 20 megapixel front camera and the whole display of 6.67 120 Hz OLED display. And on default, this phone will be in 60 Hz display. And if you want to know where are the settings, you should go to the settings at the top corner and you go under display, and also it will be in the light mode instead of the dark mode, and I prefer dark mode. And over here there is the word refresh rate. And so if you just got your phone, it will say 60 Hz instead of 120, and over here is where you can click. And if you scroll a bit below, you can see the word AI engine, which as you can see it can enhance your videos to be more HDR, but it will use more battery. Same for MEMC, which would be able to make your video 30 fps into 60 fps, and it will use slightly more battery once you enable both of them, including the 120 Hz. Hence that's why they put it off on default. And I must say it is quite smooth. And if you want to make it even smoother, under the developer settings, you can actually make it even smoother by changing the animation, window animation, transition animation, and the animation duration to 0.5 instead of the default 1, and it is become very smooth when scrolling, as you can see. And once you start up your phone, you can see there are a couple of bloatware, which is like the Amazon, Agoda, and some other small games that they will put. So I have used this phone for a while, and I must say that the black version, it's caught smudges very easily, so you would want to have a casing with it. But I heard the white color is a matte finish, so that would be a better option. And with that, I have took a stroll with this phone to take some photos at the beach with my other two phones that I use, which is the Xiaomi K20 Pro and the Poco X3. I don't know if I'm changing over in the moonlight. I can't kill this feeling sober, so it starts to come alive. I don't know what starts to control me. I let it go, another soul that's underneath. I don't really care about this all. It's the fall that kills me. With our back against the wall, just feed the beast.
feel like that we're getting closer to a brand new night. The past is finally getting over. I really think it's time to say goodbye. I don't know what starts to control me. I'm letting go another soul that's underneath. I don't really care about this all.
Alright, so this is using the 1080p video recording at 30 fps. So what do you think about the quality and the stabilization? Okay, so now this is 1080p with 60 frames per second. Alright, so now lastly it is the 4K 30 fps. So it seems it is quite cloudy right now, so we can compare how is it like compared to the just now video. And this is the 1080p, and currently I'm still walking lah. So is the dynamic range good? Meh. Alright, this is the 4K 30 fps, and it seems the phone in 4K resolution it does has stabilization. As you can see how stabilized the footage is when I'm still walking. So tell me, what do you think about the dynamic range? Alright, so this is 1080p resolution at 30 fps. My voice clear. How about the stabilization? Yeah, so tell me what do you think in the comment down below. And one more thing, it says it has a frontal sound where they will suppress all the sound coming out from the back of the screen. So is it better, or is it the same as the previously video that I had taken just now? Yeah, so this time is really the final, so I'll catch you all later. And so far I have used this for a few days to a week, and you can see it can last roughly about 4 hours to 5 hours on screen time, and I just stopped to 19% to charge because I want to preserve the battery. And it can easily goes 5 hours plus to 6 hours, and I just play some games that is not very intensive, so your mileage may vary. And it can see the charging, it's just roughly about 1 hour plus to charge all the way to full. And so the fingerprint scanner, it is relatively quick for a side fingerprint scanner. As you can see, it immediately is unlocked without fail, compared to the in-display fingerprint. As you can see, it will take a while to unlock the phone compared to the display side mounted. So another thing I noticed that when you compare with the X3, the Poco X3, the fingerprint scanner is a little different, because the X3 goes for the flat route compared to the bulging out fingerprint scanner. And as you can see, there is no notification LED compared to the X3. It will be the same for X3 Pro, because it used the same body just with 860 sensor. As you can see, there is a small tiny notification LED, while this thing has no LED at all. Next, in terms of gaming, by default it put on the medium settings with 30 Hz FPS, and this thing can go up to 60 FPS no problem in medium settings. So as you can see, the phone can play at the high settings at 60 FPS not much of an issue, just a slight delay here and there. Yeah. Alright, so at the higher settings with 60 FPS, it has not much of an issue, just little lag here and there, but most of the time it can run smoothly, especially if you run at medium settings or high settings at 60 FPS. Alright, so play game like Uma Musume, which I'm quite addicted to it. You can see it doesn't cover the front facing camera, and it runs pretty much smoothly for a game that doesn't really require much power, but is quite beautiful to see, as you can see. Yeah, it looks very colorful and it's quite nice to look at. Yeah. So as you can see, gameplay not much of an issue really. And yeah, win. Yeah. Alright, so certain games like Blue Archive right here, the border doesn't cover all the way to the edge when playing, and it runs quite well because I put it at the maximum settings with 60 FPS. And if you want to hear the audio, this is at medium settings and is quite loud and clear. Alright, so we won that as well. So watching YouTube videos is actually not bad because it doesn't interfere with the punch hole display right here, unless you decide to go full screen display, but it will crop off some of the whole thing lah. But and that is actually not bad. If you can see, the display is quite nice and bright. So if you compare the brightness between these two, at the medium settings, medium brightness, it seems like the F3 is quite dark, but once you put at the maximum brightness, as you can see, it is pretty much even. So this is how it looks like when it is at the minimum brightness. So it's just the scaling is a bit off for me, so I tend to put the brightness slightly more to the half to 3/4 compared to my K20 Pro, where I just need to put this much brightness and I'm contented with it. So yeah, so there is one thing that you should take note of. Even though it says here it can go up to 1300 max brightness, the sunlight mode, it is a bit on and off at times, because when under the direct sun, sometimes the sensor did not detect and it just remain dark as usual, unless it's really directly to the sun, where the phone then will just detect and it will make it to 130 nits. But other than that, the brightness is pretty much the same as the K20 Pro. So now it's now to test the sound, and so far I want to compare with the Poco X3, or you can use it as a reference for Poco X3 Pro because they are using the same body. That both of them has the dual speaker, but it seems like when I play songs like this Wait For Me by Dr. Neilman, it is more clear when I play
it's more clear when I'm using the F3 compared to the X3. And currently, as you can see, the volume I put it at almost 1/3. Yeah, almost at 1/3 volume. And you can compare with this as well at 1/3 volume, and just listen. And now playing on the X3. As you can see, you can barely hear the echo and barely can hear the vocals from this compared to this. So I end up usually when I watch my videos, I will end up crank it up all the way to almost 3/4 of the volume to have the same satisfaction of hearing the vocals compared to the F3. And this is how it sounds like at 3/4 at both. So now I'm going to play on X3. Alright, so now I'm going to play on my F3. So that is only 3/4, and you can clearly hear that this is more louder and better sounding quality in the speakers, in the dual speaker sound, because it is likely due to the fact that the X3 has only one small chamber here compared to the dual chamber of the Poco F3, so it is naturally be louder and clearer. Overall, I noticed that when I play videos in YouTube, it seems like the sound, there is more vocal sound coming up from the top compared to the bottom, but it's not as overwhelming as some of the phones in the past where most of the sound come from the bottom and barely on the top, which is I can say is about 60-40. So it's quite good, it's quite balanced if you are actually looking for the volume, so you will not really notice the difference.
Alright, so after all of that, for 499 or 539 SGD for the 256GB model, I would say it's a very good price to buy, because in terms of performance, it is really almost up there with the Snapdragon 888. Maybe slightly weaker because it is the last year's chip of 865, but it is still good because while playing games that is not very intensive, the phone keep cool to the touch. And I see online there are people saying about the screen dimming issues, but if you're intending to play 5 to 6 hours straight under the blazing sun, the screen dimming issue won't be an issue for you, because it will only trigger when the phone gets very warm to conserve its battery and its display. But other than that, I don't really suffer from any sort of display issue, because I played game that is less intensive, and also I can watch video from 100% all the way to 20%, no problem. It just really depend on your usage. If you worry about the screen dimming issue, then don't get it. You can consider getting the Poco X3 Pro,
which is actually the same, roughly the same design as my current X3. It is just slightly less powered version, but the function is relatively the same. So it has a bigger battery but slightly weaker chip. But other than that, if you are just intending just to play games, I'm sure this is nice. But in terms of content consumption, like music, like video, it will be a better choice to buy the F3, because it's an OLED screen compared to the LCD. but both have the 120 Hz display, but it can last longer because of the 5000 milliamp hours compared to the 4520 milliamp hours.
So the thing that I like about this phone is the fact that it is a 5G phone for affordable price that has Snapdragon 870, and the sound, the dual speakers are excellent. It is very loud and crispy, like woo, compared to like compared to like my phone, which is the Poco X3, that has distortion at low levels, and this has good clarity. The fingerprint are quick and responsive, and it has a decent sized battery of 4520. So with all of that positive, I'm still hesitant to move from my K20 Pro to the F3 for some small minor reasons. And one of the reasons that I'm still liking my K20 Pro is, first of all, it is the full screen display, because it uses the motorized camera compared to the punch hole right here, which would disrupt a little bit of screen estate when you play in the full screen mode, but it doesn't really matter that much, but it's just a small pain point for me. Next, I still like the in-display fingerprint here compared to the side mounted, because I have a habit of holding my hand at the power button, so every time when I walk and press, it will like vibrate or just unlock the phone, which makes me press unnecessary things in the pocket or while walking. So I will tend to walk like this nowadays compared to like that, or if I use on my left, I will just like to hold this way because it is the most comfortable grip. But now I have to walk this way without touching the fingerprint scanner, which a bit annoying me, but I can solve it by just removing the fingerprint scanner. But why? And other than that, the thing that annoys me the most is the fact that each Xiaomi phone or Poco phone, it has the dual app feature, and dual app feature allows me to play two of the same game in one phone.
At the point of time of this recording, the phone is blocked. It is unable to access your Android files because of Android 11 stuff, and I found it annoying because like my phone, the K20 Pro, is able to access the Android file no problem, and as well I have the option of going for the dual app option, which is part of the Xiaomi extra functions. So without the able to access to Android 11, I can shift my OBB file from point A to point B so that I can play more than one game on the same device.
While if you are still on Android 10, no problem. But because of that, I'm a bit like hesitant to move, because I'm waiting for the fix first, whether they solve it or not. No one knows, maybe it will solve in Android 12. But currently I'm still on the fence of using this phone because of these small pain points. If I want to play two accounts in the same game, I will either have to log out, log in using the same game, or I can just use the second space by pressing the second space function, which is a bit tedious because it will take a while to swap here and then you need to swap back, and it's just a lot of pain in the ass compared to if I just have the dual app, where I can have the shortcut to just press the game, immediately access to the second account. Yeah, so that's just a small pain points here and there, but overall, yeah, if you are not interested in all those pain points, I say this phone is made for it. This phone is a beast. It's good, it can be better. And that's all I can say about it. I may do a follow-up video if you have some questions or inquiry. But other than that, this is Nash, and I catch you all next time. See ya.